Loki was once again haunting the mobile beta chat channel on the Terraria Discord, and he made a number of comments that I thought you might like to see and hear. But first, thanks to Scoop God for a shout out to this channel while Loki was on Discord. He wrote, "When will it be ready? NRLP needs some content." Hell yeah, brother. Not just a 12-minute tutorial on a elevator, laughing my ass off. Oh well, you gotta take the rough with the smooth, I suppose. But as for Loki, let's start with his favorite topic, the controls. He wrote, "No old controls, adapt and overcome." He then left the door wide open for mods on mobile with this comment. Mods equal, won't say never, won't say yes either. There's no way mods make 1.3, but it would be cool to see some mods reach a future version of mobile Terraria. So there you have it. Anyway, this next comment exudes a sentiment that I absolutely share. Loki wrote, "Did you suggest Fortnite dances in Terraria? Just no." Well, that seems definitive, doesn't it? So don't expect Fortnite dances in Terraria, as though you were anyway, right? This next comment touches on the bosses in mobile Terraria 1.3. Loki writes, "Well, just remember that your Spectre set is going to have its actual intended set bonuses, and the bosses won't be nerfed anymore on mobile. So mobile players, get ready for a challenge. It sounds like they're taking the training wheels off on some of these boss fights. I don't know exactly which bosses were nerfed given the limitations of the mobile control scheme, but it seems that there's a price to pay for having a much more robust control scheme, and that is bosses just as hard on mobile as on console and PC, which I would imagine most players are perfectly fine with because it makes the game more challenging and more interesting." But getting back to Scoop God, he asked the following question. Loki, will we get the option to select Crimson versus Corruption? And Loki replied to that, not in 1.3, that was a post 1.3 thing. I didn't realize that, but there you go. It sounds like it's probably one of the things that came pretty soon after 1.3, but don't hold me to that. Hunter Extreme XD asked Loki, "Loki, are the dyes properly working on this new version?" And he answered, "Yeah, on my device it does, but that's not all devices. Dyes work 1-to-1 versus PC 1.3 as far as I know." And so they track PC 1.3 as far as he can tell, and when he said his device, he of course has a high-end phone, and as they've said in the state of the game before, some of the lower spec systems or lower spec phones will have to downgrade some of the visuals, and so some of the more advanced dyes will not work, I guess, if you turn down your graphics settings, and so some of the visual effects simply won't work. But hey, if it means you can play the game, it's not that big of a loss, is it? Underberry asked Loki, what is 505 Games working on? What stage of work are they on? Loki answered, 505 Games are a publisher, not a developer. So they are doing publishing things. And he's right, DR Studios is really the developer, and I guess 505 Games is publishing it for DR Studios. Jungle Dragon Nero asked, "Can you set up server with password in the next update, Loki?" Loki answered, "No, I'm not going to personally host a public server, but you will have your server executable, and you can make your own. Realms-style servers is something we would like to see for those that don't want to bother with setting up their own servers." Now I have to admit, I'm not really familiar with what he means by Realms-style servers, but then again, I generally don't set up my own servers, so I'm sure those who are in a position to set up their own servers probably know what he's talking about. Moving along, Lol Pumpkinhead, which is a great name, wrote, "Would my iPhone 6 be able to run a large world at all?" And Loki answered, "Minimum of 6S for large." And then he followed that up with, iPhone 6 is above min spec but below recommended. All of this is in the July State of the Game post. Remember that small and medium are equal to or larger than what you have had to date. And he's right, as they've said before, the new small maps for mobile 1.3 are going to be at least as big as the biggest old maps on mobile 1.2. So everything is being expanded, and so you're going to have much larger worlds to explore, which of course means more demands on your phone than ever before. Nightbones yesterday asked, or maybe I got that wrong, Nightbones asked Loki, but will it be necessary to pay for the server to work? And Loki said, if you rented one, yes. If you take the server executable for PC and run it yourself, no. So there you go. And in response to yet more questions about getting into the beta and also about the release date for mobile 1.3, Loki gave the answers that first, the beta selection process is over. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And second, as he has said until he's blue in the face, my words, not his, there is no release date to give. So if one were to leak, it just wouldn't be accurate. And he was very clear on both of these points. I'll spare you his exact comments, but suffice it to say he was unambiguous in telling us all, first of all, that no more people are getting into beta, and secondly, that they simply don't know the release date yet. For those who are wanting to experience the beta but can't get in, Loki simply suggested, just live vicariously through me. Hey, we're trying, Loki. How about you give us another Twitch stream? We'd love to see one of those. That would make it a lot easier. Tremix asked Loki, will there be crossplay between PC and mobile if they reach the same version? Loki answered, lol, who even knows? I'm just focused on 1.3 launch at the moment. I don't have time to worry or fathom beyond that. Now he says that, and he honestly may not know. In fact, I'm sure he doesn't know for sure, but if you've watched any of my videos, you'll remember that crossplay between these platforms is one of my pet theories for why they're removing mobile exclusive items and making the game more uniform between different platforms. I think that's laying the groundwork for at least the potential for crossplay. Loki followed this up with a bit of talk about performance of mobile 1.3, and please keep in mind he has an iPhone 10, so he's got an excellent phone. Anyway, he wrote, it runs pretty darn well. Usually at 60, and I assume he means 60 frames per second. Usually at 60 outside of intense stuff, or tons of spawns. Then maybe in the 50s. Maybe. And then multiplayer runs just as well outside of like Wave 15 PM with 6 players. So unless you're at the extreme moments of the Pumpkin Moon event with a lot of players and basically taxing the game to the utmost, it sounds like it runs really well. He followed it up by saying, where it's probably around 30. So 30 frames per second is still pretty good for the most intense moments in the game. It would make me worry a little bit about older phones. If an iPhone 10 is going down and dipping down to 30, what would an iPhone 6S do? I have no idea. Anyway, Scoop Dog, I was thinking of a rapper. Scoop God, excuse me, was back with a question about syncing. He wrote, Loki, will I be able to sync worlds between my devices? Loki answered, sure, if you use the Files app. They will not sync auto-magically. We do not have a centralized account system. If you didn't notice, the cloud system in 1.2 had a lot of issues. Some issues with item IDs and mannequins with 1.2 worlds, but that issue has been found and is in the process of being fixed. Yokona asked, does it bother you that some players cheat, such as duping? And Loki gave a very clear answer to that. He wrote, no, why should it? It's their game, not mine, and this is not a competitive online game. I find things earned to be far sweeter than things cheated, but your mileage may vary. Well, that's a healthy attitude, and I would imagine that as a developer with that kind of attitude, he's also more inclined to favor modding, or at least be cool with modding. So, if they're alright with people cheating, I would imagine they're alright with people doing mods. I just wish they would add mods to mobile, because there's some good ones out there. They've said in the past that the game really wasn't designed around it, and so hopefully with any sequel to Terraria 2 we'll call it, that they'll make modding a bigger part of that game's design, because as we all know, there's a very big and supportive community that would love to have a better mod interface. But that's it. That's all Loki had to write, so thanks to Scoop God and everyone else for questioning Loki on Discord whenever he appears. It is a really great way to squeeze some more information out of Relogic in between those monthly State of the Game posts. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.